Okay, so here's a fun question about the relationship between the side lengths of every triangle. Here they tell us that point C is located 6 units from A. And I want to pause there, thinking about this statement. If we have point C and draw it somewhere, change colors. Let's say this is point C. Well, if I know that, if the only thing I know is that A is 6 from A, that means A is 6 from C. That means A could be a point here, let's say. But really, it could be here, here, here. It could be over here, right? We can keep going around. It could be anywhere that's 6 units from C. And if you think about what that is, anywhere that's 6 units from C would be what shape? What are they really describing right there? Well, they're really describing a circle with a center C and a radius of 6, where the distance between C and A is 6 units. So here's C, here's A, and they're 6 units apart. Then they tell you that B and C are 8 units apart, right? C is 6 units from A and 8 units from B. So if that's true, then we can think of from C to B also as a circle with a radius of 8, right? To reach B, we have to, it's somewhere on this circle here. So you have these two circular paths, one to B and one to A. Then they tell us that A and B are 2 units apart. So they want to know, could this form a triangle? Well, if you look at like this right here, A and B need to be 2 apart. So this distance right here should be 2. But you could tell that it's not 2 apart right here. B is too far. And then when you start to think about it, how could B be a point that is 8 units from C on this circular path and be 2 units from A? There's only one spot that can happen. And what you might realize is that the distance between A and the circular paths for A and B is always 2 if you look at it in terms of a straight line. In other words, this distance right here from A to the circular path right there is 2. And that, in fact, is the only place you could put B to be 2 from A and 6 from C. So B couldn't be over here and A over here. They'd be too far apart. So this cannot form a triangle because what we're really describing here is a straight line, right? The only way B could be twice from A is if it's straight away 2 from A. So that's if you want to think about another level, we could have a separate circle here, right? We could have, think about it this way, A is the center, B is any point that's 2 units from A. But it has to be up here, right? Because it's also on another circular path, right? That's 8 units from C. So these two circular paths can only intersect in this way at one location. If A is here, B has got to be there. And I think that, I hope I'm convincing you, right? If you think, well, if B is over here, right? Let's say, well, why does A up here? Well, A could be down here, right? We can move A down. But if A is here, that's good because now A is 6 from C, and then B is 2 from A, right? And that works. But they can't be anywhere else. If I put B a little bit over here or a little bit that way, it would be further from A, and it needs to only be 2 from A. And if I put it here, let's say, which is also 2 from A, but then it's too close to C, so it can't form a triangle. And this brings up the triangle inequality, right? This idea that this couldn't be a triangle because we have the numbers 6 and 8 and 2. In any triangle, add up 2 sides and it has to be larger than the third. So here, this can't be a triangle, right? You can't have 3 sides of a triangle where 2 plus 6 equals 8. That can't happen. Add up 2 sides, it's got to be larger than the third side. And the reason that can't happen is kind of what's happening here in this circle. If you think about this shape setup, the only way we could have a triangle here is if we allowed or said that B was not just 2 from A, but further. So if we go back to our diagram, we have C right here, and A is 6 away, right? If B is 8 away, that's fine, right? But if we draw this line to B, and this is 8, and B is here, in order for this to be a triangle, the distance from A to B has to be larger than 2, right? Because on that triangular path, if it was exactly 2, we're back to the circle now, which you might like or might not like, depending on how good I'm doing of a job explaining this. The distance between B and A, right here, in order to form this triangular shape, needs to be larger than 2, because if it's exactly 2 and the other distance is 8, it would end up exactly here, right, on a straight line with C and A. So any deviation from that straight line creates this line right here, let's say x, which is larger than 2, right, because the distance between right here is 2. Now I've got a larger distance, but then you do have a triangle. So I hope I didn't botch up the explanation of this. It's really a wonderful problem, or there's a wonderful opportunity here to understand triangles. But I hope it's a good start for you. Thanks.